Hey Judy, it's hard to believe that this special day of all things love and beauty was made just for you. And the bride, of course. From fights to parties and everything in between, it seemed like we couldn't wait for this day to get here. To meet someone special and live our lives exactly the way that we wanted to. As your sister and seeing at your worst, I thought that the perfect girl may be impossible to find. Someone who would be able to, or should I say willing to, put up with you. Something you'd see in fairy tales. But it seems like fairy tales exist all around us, and even with ones with not so right beginnings, can have amazing endings. And I can't wait to tell everyone about us, you, and everything that led up to this special day and your beautiful bride. So everyone prepare for the longest toast of your lives. It's going to take a few minutes to express my complete shock that someone actually married this kid, and how he actually might make a great husband. So, no better place to start than the beginning, right? High school was a time that we thought we'd never get out of, and for some of us, a time we never wanted to leave. And for David, high school was nothing short of a free ride. And speaking of a free ride, it was no surprise to see a car missing from the garage and find out that 15-year-old David had taken one and picked up his friends and gone for a night on the town. Since subtlety wasn't exactly David's specialty, you would find the car parked in the driveway in the morning, covered in mud, parked in the wrong direction, and the seat settings obviously set to David's comfort. He didn't like anyone telling him he couldn't do something. He's stubborn, but he'll try for what he wants. You could describe David as one of the things from Dr. Seuss, if you know what I mean. You tell him one thing, and he does the complete opposite. You tell him not to throw the football in the house, and one will go sailing. You tell him not to break something, and sure enough, 5 minutes later, something would be broken. He was good at hiding his tracks when no one was around, or at least he thought he was. There was a time where David had his friends all gathered in the living room throwing a football. One uncoordinated friend thought that the ceiling fan would have been a nice target and knocked the glass plate that covered the light straight to the floor and it broke into pieces. He called me in a panic, trying to find a way he could cover the light so our parents wouldn't notice. Nothing worked, so instead we decided to wait and see what would happen. They noticed. We got in trouble. He soon realized he's never going to get away with it and fessed up when he broke things. He's not very good at cleaning up after himself, but he is honest. I'm not afraid of airplanes, but let's just say the takeoff, the flight, and the landing kind of stress me out. And one Christmas, our brother Brandon got us tickets to fly and see him in Denver. This would have been David and mine's first time flying without our parents. I mean, I was 17, he was 16. We were practically adults, right? We had this under control. There was one thing that stressed me out the most about this trip, and since David is not a touchy-feely person, who was going to hold my hand when I got scared? And I know what you're thinking, she's 17 years old and she still needs someone to hold her hand when she's scared. I thought David would think the same thing. He held my hand almost the whole way. Even when he was asleep, he would let me squeeze his hand whenever I got anxious, but was super quick to shove me when I tried to lay my head on his shoulder. He's not very touchy-feely, but he'll hold your hand when you're scared. He may not have liked to hold your hand or let you lay your hand on him on long trips, but when it came to the sport he loved, he was not afraid to wrap his arms around you and tackle you straight to the ground. Even if you're a girl and not on a football field and not wearing pads. One of David's favorite things to do, once he figured out he had a big head, was to tuck it low and hit it as hard as he could. Since our older brothers had already left, I was a victim of most of those attacks. And he definitely did not hold back. I'd be minding my business, and next thing you know I hear high-powered footsteps and the sound of our parents yelling and telling him not to hurt me. And before I could react, I was already in the air or on the floor. So, I mean, I'm tough, so he never actually hurt me. But when he did, or when Dad would yell at him, he would always ask if I was okay and say I would never actually hurt her. Charming, right? He may be kind of rough and tense, but he has good intentions and will never hurt you. Let's just say that when David was a kid, he wasn't particularly a good one. Great personality for sure, but choices, All the parents loved him, but weren't too fond of him. One day, David's friend got caught with stuff in his backpack that wasn't necessarily school-related. Although the incident had absolutely nothing to do with David, when his friend's outraged parents called, asking whose stuff it was, and exclaimed that David was a bad influence, he took the blame completely, which, if you ask me, was pretty dumb. But he wanted to make sure that his friend was okay and to let him know that he was there for him when he needed him. He did not only help his friends when it came to problems with parents and boozy backpacks. He helped them when they had no one else to turn to. David had a friend in high school, a friend that had come from a slightly more complicated family than ours. He was new to the area and the school and immediately became close with David. David had learned that this kid had nowhere to stay and wouldn't take any other answer than yes from her parents when he asked if he was able to stay with us. Our parents weren't too fond of the idea, but since David was so bent on helping this kid, they had to say yes anyway. He made sure that he was able to eat and had rides and had a place to sleep at night. He may take the fall sometimes, but he will also help you thrive. So now that I dragged on about how wonderful my brother is, it's time to close this thing out. It seems like fairy tales do exist all around us. Even ones with not so right beginnings have amazing endings, and I can't wait to tell everyone about you and your bride and the story that you will make together. David is stubborn, not that great at cleaning up after himself, not very emotional, kind of rough, and doesn't make great decisions, but he does know how to do and be other things. And if there's anything that David knows how to do, it's love. He will be there for you when you need him the most, and he will listen when you need to talk. He really is a great shoulder to cry on, and I couldn't have asked for a better brother, and you couldn't have asked for a better husband. I'm excited to see all the things that he will become and the things you will become together. To you guys.